Good morning, all my lovely sports fans. I hope you've been styling and profiling, wheeling and dealing, and swishing and dishing, because this is episode 4 of Boundin and Astoundin. And as you know, we always say active on the glass around here. Without further ado, let's get right into it, y'all. A little bit of housekeeping. I just want to say thank you so much for all the support and likes and comments that I got on last video. I know it was only a couple of you, but I'm very serious. Literally any support whatsoever means the world to me. I don't care if I'm doing this for 10,000 people or for 2 people, and one of those 2 people is my mom. I enjoy doing this, and just any of the support means the world to me, and I just want to keep continuing to grow and build this community because I love this and I love sports, and it seems like a lot of you guys seem to really enjoy what I'm doing, so hopefully I can continue to make good content for you guys to watch, and we can continue to grow this little community I'm trying to build, because I think it can be pretty awesome as long as we keep this up. So all right, let's get into sports. Let's start off with a good old box score watchers. It was a fairly uneventful week of sports so far. A few baseball games, few WNBA games. Start off with baseball. On Wednesday, the Chicago Cubs and Shota Imanaga pitched a combined no-hitter. Shota pitched 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, only 2 walks. They look dominant. Shota is definitely a Cy Young contender. I've liked him for the longest time. He's having a great year. He's just under 3 ERA, just over 100 strikeouts, I believe, by this point. He's been phenomenal all year. I hope he gets some recognition. I don't know who the NL Cy Young is going to be this year. There's a lot of good options. I'm hoping it's him. I'm kind of pulling for him, which is, crazy for me to say as a Cardinals fan. Screw the Cubs, but, I mean, he's been dominant this year. I really like him. Their performance on Wednesday was electric. My hot take is that when a pitcher is pitching like that, you should leave them in if it's a game like if they're trying to go for a complete game shutout, a no-hitter, perfect game, whatever. Obviously, if no one's pulling anyone for a perfect game, but you know what I mean. If a pitcher's that hot, let him rock until he physically is like, I can't pitch no more. And I get it. It's probably partially why he got pulled. I'm assuming he had at least a little bit of a say, his arm, whatever. I understand it, but still, let the cool shit right out, you know what I mean? I mean, that's just my humble opinion, and obviously it's partially why I'm not a manager, because I think all of my pitchers' arms would fall off by some point. But in all seriousness, a very dominant performance from the Cubs. They've got some good pieces there, and they'll figure it back out eventually. Our whole division is a mess right now. So really anything can happen in the NL Central at any point. So if they end up winning the division again in the next 2-3 years, I will not be surprised at all. They've got a good young squad over there. Made some great offseason moves. Great is an exaggeration, maybe. Dansby Swanson is good. I do like Dansby. But anyways, phenomenal performance. I love to see it. I'm always going to shout out pitchers and no-hitters because I love pitchers. Let's talk about the Storm. One of my matchup previews from Monday, or Tuesday, I guess, or Wednesday if you really want to get technical, was the Storm versus the the Storm versus the Sun. And I said that the key to the game would be Jewel Lloyd going off. Well, I was a little off there. It was actually Skylar Diggins-Smith. He dropped 18, 4, and 3. And that's 4 boards, 3 assists with a steal and a block, shooting 50% from the field. Skylar Diggins-Smith has been one of my favorite WNBA players for the longest time. Obviously, I know I didn't list her in my top 5 last week. She's up there in age now, so she's fallen off a little bit of my list because some of these young kids are just too damn good. But Skylar is just a true hooper. Her game ages is like fine wine. She's averaging just over 16 points this year at age 34, and I kept saying that I really like this Storm team and that I think they got a real good chance to really shock people at some point, and that I'm waiting for their big breakout year. They got a chance to at least make some noise in the playoffs. They're 20-13. They have Ezzy, who's been anchoring their defense, who is absolutely phenomenal, and is probably my runner-up to DPOY, which we will get into later in the episode. We are going to be doing WNBA award predictions, and I will go over all of that stuff. But yeah, the Storm are a good team. and they ended up winning that game 77-70 against the Sun. It was a huge win for them. Go 20-13 now. They've already clinched a playoff spot, and they've got some real fight in them. They really do. When your 1-2 punch is Jewel Lloyd and Skylar Diggins, I mean, you're fairly set. You're fairly set, and I don't know if they have a chance to beat the Aces, the Sun. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I am very high on them. Like I keep saying, I love Jewel Lloyd. She's one of the best players in the league. It was just a good all-around game for them. Skylar Diggins, if she can keep this up like this at this rate in the playoffs, they're going to be a team to watch out for sure. My next one is, of course, good old Trent Simpson, who had his first start last night, and I'm trying to decide if I want to get into the game now or if I want to wait until after. How do I have it on my list here? We'll do box score watchers first, and then I'll actually get into my little recap. Our next box score to watch is good old Trent Simpson of the Baltimore Ravens. He had his first start last night in KC, and man, he was just a force out there. I mean, I knew he was going to be good, and I've liked him since Clemson, and I was a little worried because he was more of a Sam back in the Clemson defense, but he has been he will hit anybody at any time. He is ferocious, absolutely ferocious. He had only five total tackles last night, but he had half a sack, a QB hit, deflection. I mean, he was making his presence known all night long, and he's going to be a perfect little fill-in next to Roquan for Patrick Queen. I really like the kid. I low-key think he could maybe finish as our leading tackler this season. He's just tenacious, and his pursuit is off the charts. He takes all the right angles. He's just got crazy football IQ. He knows where to be and when. I mean, it's honestly impressive. I was not expecting him to look that good last night, especially against that Chiefs offense. I mean, he played his ass off. He played his heart out, and I'm expecting that for the next 16 games after this. He is a beast, and he is a name that people should be watching out for to be a top linebacker in the league within the next 5 years. He was incredible. On the other defensive side, the Chiefs defense, Jalen Watson, cornerback, who I did not think was going to have too big of an impact at all, ended up with 11 tackles and a deflection, one of those on a route that looked like Zay Flowers had him beat, and he was able to turn around and break up the play and really jam him up. He looked good. I really expected us to target him a lot and for him to get cooked, but he held his own. He played really well. Third-year kid who's finally starting to get some real reps, and he looked pretty darn good. I was impressed with his effort. I think if he can continue to keep this up. Now, I know I was talking a lot of trash on the Chiefs secondary, but if him and Brian Cook can kind of shore some things up, they will at least be a somewhat competent unit, and I will maybe walk back some of my statements that it's going to be a very big issue for them. He looked great last night. I just hope he builds on his momentum. And from there, we will get into the game. So, first and foremost, the only opinion anyone should really have is that Lamar Jackson was the best player on the field last night. And it's really not even close either. I mean, Pat looked good, but he didn't really lock in until the third quarter. And just realized I've had my dogs out for the last minute. Sorry about that, y'all. I don't know why I didn't put on socks before this. I'm in my own home. Can you blame me? Sorry for showing the dogs for free. I'll charge you guys next time, I promise. Anyways, Pat looked good, but he did his thing to where he just kind of dilly-dallies for half the game and then really locks in halfway through the third quarter. But Lamar was on point all night. There are some issues that definitely need to be addressed. I think a lot of it comes from him still getting used to having control at the line of scrimmage, because for the first 5 years of his career, he was not the one calling audibles. He was not the one making these adjustments at the line. It was a lot of Greg Roman feeding him in these stuffs and not really having as much control over the offense. And so now that he does, it's new to him, and he's still figuring out how to operate on that level. And he's been doing good. It's not like it's been bad, but there have definitely been some instances like when he full slid on the second to last play of the game on that throw to Zay. There's some protections that he could work on that he needs to, and that's a hard thing to do. Like reading your slides and where to send who for pass protection, it's a hard thing to figure out because defenses disguising coverages all the time these days, and you just don't know where someone's coming from at all times. It's hard to figure that out. But he will get there. He's a very smart quarterback, and I'm not worried about it. But it was a pretty glaring issue that he could have checked some more at the line, and especially with Derek, I think there were a couple times where we could have found some stuff to bounce outside rather than running inside zone and trap for most of the game. And again, he didn't look bad. I think that he looks like he definitely lost a little bit of a step, but he is also 29 years old and 245 pounds and is a downhill running back, which is why we need to get him outside more, because that's also, if you look at the numbers, it's where he thrives the most is when he gets outside in space and then is able to put his head down and just rumble. So that's the thing that I think we need to really focus on going forward is less getting Derek more touches, because yes, he does need more touches and more carries, but more of those carries should be to the outside because the Chiefs box was stacked all night long. They were game planning for one thing and one thing only: Derrick Henry running down their throats. And he did that for like the first drive of the game. And after that, he was fairly quiet. And a lot of that was because like we were more up tempo at the end of the first half, and we wanted Justice Hill because he's slightly better in pass protection. It's really apples to oranges. I don't really think one is necessarily overwhelmingly better than the other. Derek's also a bigger body in pass protection, but that's neither here nor there. It doesn't necessarily matter. And it's just especially like when you have a team that has Chris Jones who can just absolutely game wreck. It's just something you have to be dialed into. And it's another thing that I think will come with time, and I think they looked a little rusty. And I'm not trying to make excuses here because they're an NFL team. You should be playing at the best of your ability from the first snap. But it just kind of goes back to the whole playing preseason debate, because this was basically kind of, if you think about it, a first preseason game disguised as a week one game that actually counts. So it sucks that we wasted a week one game that actually counts on our little, where we just need to shake off the rust game. But this is a game you learn from for sure. And I'm kind of avoiding talking about it because the discourse over it has been atrocious. Lamar is not to blame for the entire loss. Could he have won us the game? Yes. Did he damn near do it? Also yes. The throw to Isaiah Likely was not good. That one is pretty inexcusable. Although I will say, it's not like I haven't seen literally every other quarterback in the NFL miss that throw at some point. So while yes, Lamar can be blamed for that, I think it's really disingenuous to pretend like Lamar can't throw because of this. It's just really weird that everyone's like, well, this is, like I've been saying, he just can't throw, when literally every passing metric ever points otherwise. And it just makes no sense to me that we can just lie, basically, that people just pretend that their biases are true because they see one thing. Because he was literally the best player on the field all night long, and he completed 64% of his passes, and he threw for damn near 300 yards, and he outplayed Patrick Mahomes. But then when you can't capitalize on what should have won us the game pretty much twice, people are going to attack you for it, and it sucks, but unfortunately that's just the way it works right now. And the throw to Zay, he said in the interview that he was actually looking for Bateman, and I don't know if he's just trying to cover up for Zay not sitting or if he really was, because it really doesn't look like he was. It looks like he was trying to throw to where Zay was going to be. Regardless, I don't think it was a, wow, that was such a bad pass that a high school quarterback could have made that. I think it was way more of a miscommunication than anything, and it's just another way of us being disingenuous for basically no reason about a guy who has done nothing but prove that he belongs in this league as a top 5 to 3 quarterback, and it baffles me that people can see that and immediately like the quarterbacks in the NFL don't make bad throws because they can't make them. If Lamar couldn't make that throw, he would be out of the league by this point because he would be missing that throw constantly. More than anything, I think it was a miscommunication. Yes, Lamar has a share of the blame for the loss last night, but a lot of it was also because the right side of the O-line looked absolutely atrocious. I really, really hope that Rosengarten figures it out eventually, because he did look decent last night, and allowing him to play through some of his mistakes, I think, are going to help him for sure. But 2 pressures on 13 pass pro snaps, not great. Not a fan of that. But Macari allowed 4 last night, and he, going to be honest, I've always been a big Pat Macari fan. He's nothing more than a 3rd or 4th tackle. He's a swing tackle. He's a guy who can fill in when you have an injury to one of your guys. He should not be starting. And honestly, neither should Falele. But we really don't have anyone else. I don't know where you go. Ben Cleveland, I guess, but there's probably a good reason that he didn't play at all last night because, I mean, if we're rotating all linemen, you would think that if Cleveland's good enough to play, he'd probably play with how bad they were playing last night on the right side. So, unfortunately, I feel like that's a little bit telling to Ben Cleveland and his abilities. I'm really hoping I'm wrong and that they make the switch and Cleveland comes in and is a stud. I just don't see that happening. I'm really glad we found a stud on the left side in Andrew Voorhees. He was phenomenal last night. He's going to be the steal of that draft last year. So genuinely, he was incredible. I was really impressed. They kept hyping him up in preseason and in training camp. And a lot of those times, you just got to kind of take it at face value because, of course, coaches are going to say that when a guy is balling out in preseason and training camp. And you never actually know if it's going to translate into the actual game. Him and Trenton are 2 guys who, it absolutely translated. Oh, boy, did it translate. But, yeah, I really think moving forward, I think if Macari slid in to play guard, it would almost be better. Because he's always functioned better at guard, I feel like. And also in limited snaps. And if you're rotating him and Cleveland at guard, rather than him and Rosengarten with Falele at guard, and I mean him and Falele, yeah, I said that right. If you're rotating like that, it just feels a lot weaker to me. And it's going to be a very, very, very big struggle. And Lamar's going to be running for his life a lot. We can't get that figured out. Bateman looked decent. My prediction was that he was going to need to have a big game for us to win. And he didn't get targeted until the end of the game, and we lost. But it was when we were driving to try to win when he was starting to get targeted. So I think there's something to that. He's going to be very important. We're going to need him to have a big year. And I think those 2 big catches are going to be very important for his confidence going forward, especially that toe tapper sideline one at the very end that put us inside the 10. That was massive. That was a huge catch. And oh my God, if he didn't get touched, he would have walked into the end zone. But can't play the what-if game. You live and you learn. I don't know if I have too much else to say about this game. I'm not going to talk about the officiating that much. It was bad, obviously. Everybody knows it was bad. This isn't even me being a biased Ravens fan. Every NFL fan I've seen on Twitter has been talking about it. It doesn't make any sense. Even if you want to argue that, like, Jawan, because the whole issue is Jawan Taylor. Everybody's issue is with Jawan Taylor, basically. It's both the Chiefs tackles, but it's specifically Jawan Taylor. And even if you want to say, like, oh, yeah, well, he might be back, but his helmet is practically lined up. Even if it is, most of the time, it's not. It's about as close as it can be to not being actually lined up, and they just let it slide anyways. Or he is taking a full step backwards. I went back and watched most of those snaps about Jawan. If you look, he is taking a pretty much 2 full step jump back as the ball is being not even as the ball is being snapped, right before the ball is being snapped. Pretty much on the set, he is boom, boom, taking his 2 steps back, and then the ball is being snapped. It's insane. And I really think, I don't think it's, they're rigging it for the Chiefs, or, I think if Jawan were on any other team, they're probably going to call it like that. Because I think it's literally to the point, he is just so bad at his job that no matter how many times you penalize him for it, he's just going to keep doing it. He literally physically cannot not commit the penalty. And so rather than throwing a penalty flag on every single play and having a game last 5 hours, there's you know what? Whatever. Just let him do it. It's not like it's really benefiting him anyways. So, I don't know. That's all I'm going to say about it. It wasn't good, but it wasn't the reason we lost. There were so many other reasons that we lost. And like I said, this is a game you learn from. You live and you learn. Move on. Take it in stride. It's week 1. It'll be fine. That's all I got for that crappy game. Rashee Rice looked great, and so did Xavier Worthy. I think he's still going to have his drop issues throughout the year, and that blown coverage would make him seem like he had a way worse game. Not way worse game, because he was still good. But I think he showed his flashes. It's ridiculous that the Chiefs are now set up with another all-time fast guy. But hopefully that doesn't come back to bite the whole league in the ass. We'll see. All right, now we'll get into our matchup previews. There's a lot of good games on this weekend. We'll do 2 college football games and 2 NFL games. The first one I got written down here is Colorado-Nebraska, which is a game I'm maybe the most excited for out of all the games this weekend. It's just going to be 2 good offenses really going at it. This is the best Nebraska's offense has looked in a long time. I really like Dylan Rapola. I feel like I just butchered his name. I'm just going to act like that didn't happen. But he's the truth, and I think he's probably going to be a Heisman candidate within the next couple of years. He's not only has a massive arm, but he's just got a lot of arm talent. He's just like Patrick or Lamar. He can just make those throws where how do you even move your arm at that angle to be that accurate? And it's just really impressive to watch. Him going up against that Colorado defense, he's probably going to tear it to shreds, which is why I think Nebraska will end up winning this. It's not going to be a blowout or anything like that, but I think it's going to be a slugfest for the first couple quarters, and then Nebraska will pull away. But I mean, Colorado can keep up for a little bit, I think. I think their defense is just going to make them lag behind because, I mean, I love their offense, and I love Shadur. I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for, and I think he would look a lot better if his O-line weren't terrible and he weren't running for his life half the time, and that they could actually, because that's the big question, is can they actually establish a run game? If they could, you'd probably look a lot better. Not only that, but if you had anyone else to throw to outside of Travis Hunter, again, probably looking a lot better, and I'm probably talking about this team way differently. They still don't have a defense, so we'll say a little differently. But, I mean, I think it's still going to be a good matchup. It's just 2 good offenses going at it. I really, really like this Nebraska team. I think they're going to really sustain some momentum. Their defense is as good as it's always been. They're just a good squad, and I like them a lot. And Travis Hunter is the truth. I really hope that he can find a way to play both positions in the NFL, because it's just something we've never seen before, ever, pretty much. And I mean, unless you want to count Pat Ricard playing fullback and defensive line, it's just not something you really see. And I think he could absolutely pull it off. He's got the absolute talent, athleticism, intangibles, all of that. He's got the IQ, all of it, to be able to do that. It's just a matter of, one, can his body hold up playing both sides of the ball? That would be my biggest fear as an NFL coach, is him wearing down. But to be fair, when you're playing wide receiver and corner, it's not as big of a worry. Well, I can't say that. As a former corner, I have the worst jumper's knees of all time. So, it definitely does take a toll. Anyways. I think he has a chance to be very elite on both sides of the ball in the league. And I hope there's a way that he can be able to do that, because it would just be very cool to see to have a dual threat defensive and offensive player. Because, like I said, we've never really seen anything like that. And then obviously, you had Dion back in the 90s who would play receiver every once in a while. But again, I'm not counting that. Because he honestly, if it were more of a thing, he definitely could have actually played both ways and been the first one and like revolutionized it. But it's just not how they played back then. So unfortunately, corner only. So I'm really hoping that he can find a way to break in that way. Because I mean, when you have a guy like that, I don't see why you make him choose. When you have a guy that talented who can play both sides of the ball, I just don't. I don't see. It almost feels irresponsible to not let him at least try to play both ways. So I really hope he can. I'm gonna go Nebraska in this one. I think their offense will just end up being too much for that defense. My second game is Arkansas, Oklahoma State, which is a random one, but Oklahoma State's ranked 16. They have second best running back in the nation right now in Ollie Gordon. And this is Arkansas and Oklahoma State renewing their rivalry after 7 years, I think, maybe 10 at this point. It's been a while, been a long time. And I think any rivalry game is a good game. And this Arkansas team, I don't think is going to be a great SEC team by any means, but I do like the squad that they've put together. I think they have a chance to. I'd peg them. I think they make a bowl game for sure. I think they can have a bowl game season. Again, they're not going to be world beats or anything like that, but I think their offense is a little underrated. Their defense is always solid. We'll see how it goes, but I think that this is going to be a very fun, good old-fashioned rivalry matchup that everybody should be tuning into. We're going to go Arkansas upsetting Oklahoma State this weekend. And maybe, possibly... No, that's too bold. I'm not going to say they jump into the top 25. No. They'll be like just outside of it. They're not going to jump in, though. For NFL. It's opening weekend. You really can't go wrong with any game. My first one I have down is Titans-Bears. Like I said, the Titans were my pick for my risers, and I think it's going to be really fun to watch this new offense go at it. I'm interested to see if Pollard ends up staying the lead back for the whole year. Just based off of how last year went, I could very easily see Tyjae being the one to get more snaps by the end of the year. I'm not saying that Tony's going to be bad by any means. I just think he's almost better served as a two-back. And I think that Tyjae has the explosiveness and the shiftiness to be a number one back in that offense. And, they've got good receivers. They really do. Calvin Ridley is a signing. It's so weird because I was super high on him when he was a Falcon. And this last year in Jacksonville really soured me on him. I just don't believe in him the way that I used to. But I still think he can be a productive receiver for them, especially because not only do they have him, they have DeAndre Still, they have Tyler Boyd, they have Treylon Burks. They have a lot of weapons, and you put a lot of those weapons around a guy like Will Levis, who needs to be a little bit propped up. He's not going to make his guys better. They're going to make him better. So if you put a core like that around him, I think it can be pretty successful. I'm very interested to see how Caleb fares in his first game against a defense who was like slightly above average, because this is a Tennessee team that can be a challenge for him for sure. You've got Kevin Byard and L'Jarius Sneed in the secondary. You've got Jeffrey Simmons up front still. There's some dogs on this defense that can make his life hell on Sunday. And I'm not saying he's going to have a bad game or anything like that. I'm just interested to see how he responds to it. So I think he's got a chance to have a pretty good game. I'm sure hoping he does. He's one of my fantasy quarterbacks. But, no, I'm just very excited to see him play and see Rome play and see how they fare against a defense like this. Because it's a hard one to go up against for your first NFL game. Even if they're not like a top of the league defense anymore, it's still a solid unit. I'm excited to see how it goes. My prediction is that the Bears start the Caleb Williams era 1-0. I think they beat the Titans 20-17. 2017. That's my prediction. All right, my other one is Browns Cowboys. This is going to be a real fun one because both of these teams I'm just very confused about. The Cowboys, I think, are still going to have a good year and they will likely still win the NFC East. But I mean, their run game, I don't know what on earth they are planning here. And that's the big key I have for both of these teams. Are they going to be able to establish a run game at all? I like Jerome Ford, and I think the Browns have a better chance of doing that than the Cowboys will. But this is going to be a very pass-heavy game, and that's my other thing is a quarterback of Deshaun's caliber going to be able to perform at all against a defense of the Cowboys' caliber, especially when he's going to need to throw to win them this game because they will have practically no running game. And I'm interested to see how the connection between him and Judy looks. I still have a little bit of faith in Jerry Judy. Not faith to become a number one guy, but to at least become a serviceable number two option. Yeah, absolutely. I think he can do that. But I just don't see the vision with him anymore the way I used to. Because I think, I don't remember exactly how I had it, but I want to say for me it was probably, I think I had CD first, then him, then probably Justin in that draft class. Was AJ Brown on that draft class too, or am I big tripping? I think I'm big tripping. I think it was the year before. I'm not looking it up right now. I'm recording on my phone, so I can't do that. Man, I cannot wait to get my laptop back and fixed or get a camera or something so I can look up stuff on the fly if I need to, instead of just trying to go all of this off the dome. But for now, we struggle through and we push on. But yeah, I think this is going to be another really good game. It's just two great defenses going at it, which is it's where my heart and soul is, y'all. I probably say it once an episode. I love defense. Defense is my favorite thing about sports in all forms. Stopping the other team from scoring is chef's kiss. It's my favorite thing. I love it. It's nothing better. That's why I'm looking forward to this. I know a lot of fans will hate on a big old defensive slugfest where there's not really a ton of scoring. But man, to me, I eat that shit up. Oh my god. Yeah, those are really the only big questions I had for this game. Is the run games, the defenses are going to play well, Jerry Judy and Deshaun. I just think it's going to be an all-around good defensive matchup and two teams who are in a very confusing spot, but have potential to be good this year. So I think it's going to be a fun matchup to watch. And yeah. All right, so now we're getting into the really, really fun stuff. This is my favorite part of the episode. We're going to do WNBA award predictions and playoff predictions. Woo! It's finally here. The best part of the year, the playoffs. So we'll start out with my award predictions and then we'll move into my playoff bracket. First and foremost, MVP is A'ja Wilson. I wanted to try to advocate for Stewie, but Asia's having a historical season. She dropped another 40-point game the other night. She's averaging like 38, 10, and 4 and a handful of blocks and steals over her last 4 games. She's ridiculous. We've never seen a season like this in WNBA history. She absolutely is deserving of it. If she weren't on this team, the Aces would be a middle-of-the-pack squad. They might still make the playoffs, but I kind of highly doubt it. She is the engine, the anchor that this team works around. She is more than deserving of winning it. She low-key probably could have won it last year. But Stewie was doing her thing, so I get why Stewie won it, and I'm not mad about it at all because I love Stewie. But she's just been she's honestly at the LeBron point to where she could win MVP every year, but there's just going to be years where there's voter fatigue or a team like the Liberty last year when we were really, really good. And Stewie was having a historical season too. She was having a phenomenal year, and she was the anchor and the engine of our offense. So it was understandable as to why. But, Ellie, no. She's eating. Okay, we're going to have to pause. Hold on. Anyways, yay for more fun jump cuts. I really hope I don't have to do this every episode where I have to stop my cat from trying to eat command strips every time. She was doing so good too. She was just sleeping in her little corner all episode, just chilling. And of course, now that we're getting close to the end, now she wants to start acting up and try to eat command strips. Why is it command strips? I don't get it. Anyways, yeah, I mean, she's just at that LeBron point to where, I mean, they're going to get voted for Teague, and she might not always win it, but this year, far and away deserves it. I would be really, really shocked if it were anyone else. She's been the best player in the league by far, hands down, no debate, and she should be the MVP. Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I think that one's also pretty much not up for debate anymore. And more in a sense of like Vic versus Chet this year, more than anything, because well, I'm not going to get too much into the whole Caitlin versus Angel thing. Caitlin just having the best rookie season that we've seen since Candace Parker. Angel Reese is rebounding like we've never seen anyone rebound before in the WNBA. I mean, if you think Angel is Rookie of the Year, I can't blame you. But at this point, Caitlin's been on another level. She dropped a triple-double the other night. She's currently leading her team into the playoffs at 18-16. I do think that the Sky... we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm not going to say it yet. We'll get there. We will get there. The Sky still have a chance to make the playoffs, so it's not like they're like playing terrible or anything, but clearly there's a gap there. Caitlin's game is just so much more well-rounded than Angel's. And Angel's still going to be a phenomenal player in this league for years to come, but she's got some stuff to work on. So does Caitlin, to be fair. She's got a lot of turnovers and just her ability to read the game is already phenomenal, and her ability to process, but sometimes she's just got to learn that balance of passing and scoring of, okay, when should I turn it on? And that's really what every great point guard needs to figure out when you're at that level. It's the same issue of like a Steph Curry, a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a Trae Young, a Darius Garland, a Tyrese Halliburton. And a scoring guard like that who can also play make like nobody's business. It's really all about figuring out, okay, when does my team need me to score in bunches right now and put them on my back? And when do I need to get my teammates involved to make sure that we're not getting too stagnant? And she'll get there. She's smart enough to figure it out, and she already has in some ways. She's already starting to get there. She's a very quick learner, and I've been very impressed with how much she's developed already over this season. But those are her biggest knocks right now, and again, I don't think they're big enough to take her down under Angel, so... Caitlin Clark, Rookie of the Year. Angel Reese, runner-up. I've been impressed with both of them all season long. It's just good that we have so much young talent in this league, and I haven't even mentioned like any of the other rookies outside. Poor Cam Brink. I wish he didn't get hurt this year. She is so freaking good, man. I mean, she is a defensive force, like up there with like Asia and Nafisa Collier in terms of defensively good. And I'm very excited to see how she comes back from her injury next year. Camila Cardoso had a great year too. She's an absolute force inside. And I think what they need to do is, I mean, first of all, Trinity should be their first option. Camila should be their second. And Angel, for right now at least, while they're still developing their games, Angel should be the cleanup guy. Or girl, excuse me, however you want to phrase it. Angel should be there on cleanup duty. And I think it would make their offense flow a lot better. And it would also make Angel look a lot better. Because, I mean, I understand why they're trying to run the offense through her. She was their third pick. She is going to be very good in this league. But her offense is just very limited right now. And what they're doing isn't helping her develop it. And if they gave her more of an opportunity to be off ball and be a dirty work, that sounds almost disrespectful. And I really just mean like dirty work offense, not just like dirty work getting the rebounds and hustling and stuff. I mean genuinely like just being a dirty work offensive player to the extent of like an Andre Drummond basically. And again, it sounds disrespectful, but it's really not, because peak Andre Drummond was him. I think if they did that, she would look a lot better, and a lot of the hate that she's getting would not be nearly as warranted. But they'll figure it out. She will get better. She's going to have a very long and illustrious career, and I'm just excited to see where these two go from here. What we got next? Coach of the year. It's got to be Sandy. It's got to be Sandy Bronadillo. I'm kind of surprised she didn't win it last year when we were basically top of the league again last year. The Liberty coach, by the way, for those who aren't aware. Um, I mean, we've been the far and away the best team in the league this year, and you would expect us to at least fall off a little bit with Stewie getting older and John Quell's past 30 now too, but we've been just as good as we were last year, if not even better. We've got a couple of injuries to manage. I mean, with Sloot being out for a while, Leone had a little bit of a stretch. But I mean, she's just been incredible. She's making sure that this offense flows, and I mean, there's just so many weapons. It's kind of hard to make sure that doesn't happen, but I mean, it's easy when you have talent like that to get stagnant and not be as creative as you could be, and she's not let that happen. I've been very impressed with her all season long. She absolutely deserves to win it this year. I'm very shocked that she doesn't. Defensive player of the year. This one is really hard. I mean, not really, honestly. Like, it's Nafisa. It's Nafisa Collier. It's really nobody else. I'm trying to exaggerate a little bit here. Let me relax. It's not that it isn't anybody else, but she's holding opponents to 39% field goal percentage this year. She is the anchor of statistically the best defense in the W, and she is averaging 2.1 steals and 1.2 blocks. I mean, and to go along with 9.7 defensive rebounds. I mean, it's far and away. It's not going to be anyone else. I believe, I'm going to butcher her last name. It's so hard to say. Ezzy, though, of the Seattle Storm, she has been just about as good, and I've been impressed with her, too. I would be very happy if she ended up in second. I think it'll give the nod to Asia just because Asia is widely considered a top 3 defensive player in the league every year. So she's probably just going to get the nod off of name recognition alone. But I would really hope Ezzy gets the second place vote because she has been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, her team is 5 points worse with her off the floor than on defensively. So, I mean, that's a pretty big impact. And I really, really hope she gets the nod for that. Some sort of recognition. So I wanted to finish second in voting because she deserved it. But anyways, it's Nafisa Collier. It's her award to lose. And that's basically how like the first 4 have been, honestly. Now, sixth player of the year is a little bit harder to decipher, but I'm gonna give it a nod to my girl Leone. I mean, I talked about it last episode. She's been the perfect backup point guard to Sloot, and she's also the only one of 2 players in the league who are averaging double-digit points in the 6-man role or off the bench. So, I mean, I think she kind of has to get it. She's shooting 38% from 3 this year. Like I said, her and Sabrina are going to be a beautiful backcourt duo for years to come. And she's just been thriving in this role so far. So I don't really know if anyone else is even close, honestly. And I'm being a little biased there. But, I mean, like I said, one of 2 players averaging double-digit points off the bench. It doesn't get much better than that. Just giving it to Leone. MIP. MIP was a hard one, but I think I'm giving it to Chinity Carter. Oh my gosh. Because, she was drafted in 2020, expected to be a top prospect, came out averaging 17 points as a rookie. And then after that, just kind of fell off. This is now her 3rd team in 4 years. She really struggled when she was on the Sparks. And it was kind of sad to see because she ended up not playing last year and missing a whole year of basketball after playing 16 minutes and only averaging 8 points. This doesn't really bode well for your career, especially after that she said that she just wasn't interested in playing basketball anymore last year. So to see her come out and average 17.2 is just incredible. I mean, she's been the best player yeah, she's been the best player on the Chicago Sky all year long. She's been a perfect fit for that team. And if she weren't there, they would probably be a lot worse than they are. And I'm just and she's also, yeah, she's shooting 50% from the field this year. And when you make a comeback like that, I really can't see how you don't win it. She deserves it for sure. And I'm very happy that she's had this turnaround that she's had. So yeah, we're giving it to Trinity Carter. All right, now we're getting into the real fun stuff, y'all. Prediction time. All right. I'm aware that this is a calendar. I don't know if you guys can notice or if the glare is so bright that you can't tell, but this is in fact a whiteboard calendar that I'm using until I get an actual regular whiteboard, or I'll just continue to use this. Who knows? I don't really care that much. I don't think you guys do either. So, first and foremost, we got the Liberty keeping the 1 seed. I don't think they're going to lose it. The only team that I can see maybe passing them for it is the Lynx. I don't think the Sun are going to pass them for it. I think they got a chance, like I mentioned last episode. But as long as we beat them, because I think we play them one more time before the season ends. And as long as we beat them, and I think we will, especially after the last game where they kind of kicked our butts a little bit, I think that we will probably clinch the 1 seed. 2, I have the Lynx. I think they're going to pull it out and then finishing with a better record than the Sun. Just barely. It's going to be very, very close. And obviously the Sun would be 3. Aces, well, it's so weird that they're going to be 4. Yeah, I mean, they could end up sliding up if the Sun or the Lynx not fall off, but drop a few games down the stretch. I just don't see it happening. So I think the top 4 are probably going to stay in relatively the same area outside of the Sun and Lynx, who are going to flip-flop because they got the same record right now. Yeah, Aces at 4. There's going to be interesting if both Liberty and we'll get there. I'm getting distracted. Lock in. So at 4 we got the Aces. 5 we got my Storm, who I kept saying, well, they could make some noise this year, and then they get to face the reigning champions round 1. That'll be fun. 6 is the Fever. Shout out to Caitlin. 7, the Mercury. So all of the teams I've listed have already clinched. So this will mostly stay the same in terms of order. And no one's going to drop out of the playoffs. And then lastly, with the 8 seed, I went with the Sky. It's between them and the Dream. They're both 11 and 22 right now. But the Sky play a lot worse opponents over these next couple of weeks, and then they play the Dream, second to last game of the season. I think they'll beat the Dream in that game, and that will be a deciding factor. They play us right after, and they'll probably drop that game. Well, maybe we sit some players, and they pick up a win anyways. By that point, it probably won't matter. Anyways, they play the Mystics a couple times. They play the Sparks. They don't really play a ton of, top-tier teams in these last couple weeks, so I think they will be, and the poor Dream, their schedule contains us. They play the Wings. They play the Aces one more time, I think. They play the Sun twice, I think. So they got an uphill battle if they want to win and make it in. So I'm gonna go with the Sky, making it in at the 8 seed. And from there, we will start with we'll start with Liberty Sky. To be honest, I don't think I see this guy taking a game. Liberty. I'm just going to write Lib. And then it's going to be 2-0. Yeah? I don't really have too much to say about this. I think we're going to whoop ass. Neither of these big men down low, and this is no respect to Camilla or Angel, they're not stopping either Jonquil or Brianna in the post. It's going to be hell for them. It's not going to be fun. We'll move down this way in the bracket. We will go, I hate to say it, I love the Storm so much, and I really want them to pull this off, and I want to have some balls and make a bold prediction and say that they'll knock off the reigning champs. But I unfortunately don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll force it to a 3-game series, but I think the Aces are going to be overwhelming. I think Jackie Young is going to have a huge series. I think she's going to be the deciding factor in that series, especially her play. I'm assuming she'll probably take Jewel. She might take Naneke. I don't know. I would probably, because you could also put Kelsey. I feel like Kelsey is probably the better matchup on Jewel. But she'll still be a very important factor if she's going up against Naneke, because Naneke can hoop too. And she'll need to lock down on that end. And she has the ability to. She damn well does. But not only that, she's just going to need to be great on the offensive side like she always is. Even better than she normally is. Which is very possible. It's Jackie Young. She's a hooper. It's probably all W second team. So I think she'll probably be the deciding factor in that one. Aces 2-1 to face the Liberty in the second round. Lynx Mercury. I really want to pick the Mercury here, just because I like their squad and they're so scrappy. When you got BG on your team, you're gonna have a chance to scrap and claw and fight. And I think this is another 2-1 series. I think the Lynx defense is just too good, and it's the top of the league right now for them to not win this game or win this series. So unfortunately, as much as I hate to keep going chalk, we're going with the Lynx. Do I? I don't know. Because now I don't like going chalk. I like making bold predictions here. You know what? Yeah, you know what? Because I don't think the Fever are beating the Sun. Honestly, this team is too young. I like Aaliyah Boston. I like Caitlin Clark. I don't think they're beating a team like the Sun right now with DeWanna Bonner, who's been playing out of her mind recently, with Alyssa Thomas, who is a top 5 player in the league, with Dejanay Carrington, who is in the running for most improved and is also just an absolute hooper. They're not knocking off the Sun. Sun in a sweep. And you know what? We are going with the Mercury. We're going to say the Mercury knock off the number 1 defense in the league on the back of BG. And Kalia Copper, of course. I love you, Kalia. All right. Liberty Aces. Ooh, boy. Finals rematch. I'm glad they're getting this now and not in the finals, honestly, because I don't know if they'd be able to exercise those demons. I almost worry that if we were playing the Aces in the finals, that we would get way too in our heads and probably fold again. So I'm glad we're getting this matchup now, because it almost feels more poetic to beat a team like that beforehand, to get there, to exercise those demons before you get there, so when you actually get there, you can focus on winning the championship, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of glad we're getting this matchup second round. I'm going to go with the Liberty. This is going to be a really, really, really great series. It's going to be an absolute war zone. I think the Liberty get the edge. And I'm so serious. I think because of Leonie Fibic, I think her shooting, and if Sloot can stay on point with her shooting, I think it's going to be massive. And I mean, that's the thing, is our whole roster, top to bottom, can pretty much shoot. And if we can shoot them out of the gym like we've been doing all year, I just don't think they can keep up eventually. So I'm going to go with the Liberty. In the finals, and they win 2-1. Mercury Sun. It's going to be the Sun. I really like the Sun team. I keep raving about them. I keep raving about how much I love Dejanay, how much I love Alyssa Thomas. I mean, like I said, Alyssa's just a do-it-all player. I mean, she really, anything you need her to do on a basketball court at any given time, she will do it for you, whether that's score, whether that's rebound, whether that's defend, whether that's find the open man, whether that's set screens, do the dirty work, hustle on the floor. She's going to do it all. And I mean, I think she's going to give the Mercury fits, absolute fits. So we are going to go 2-0 Sun. Sun, Liberty in the finals. It's kind of weird, like, trying to talk about this when your favorite team is considered, like, the best team in the league right now. Because I don't want to be, like, biased and be like, oh, look at this, oh, Liberty, 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 all the way to the championship. No, and look at that, the Liberty win the championship. Ha ha ha, I'm a New York Liberty fan. They genuinely just have the all-around best roster in the league. And, yeah, I'm probably a little biased in my pick that I'm going to pick the Liberty to win it all this year. But my reasoning is, like I said, we have the best all-around roster in the league. We have some of the best shooting in the league this year that I don't think a lot of teams can keep up with. Sabrina has finally taken the leap that I've expected her to. I mean, she's been phenomenal these last 2 years. She's been absolutely incredible. There's no debate about that whatsoever. But this year, she was most definitely, like, she is indisputably going to make all-W first team alongside Stewie. And because of that, I just think that we've put all the pieces together this year. And I think that this has to be the year. Especially, like I said, after losing to the Aces last year, they're looking for revenge. They're looking to redeem themselves. Everybody's been calling them frauds all season long. I remember at the very, very beginning of the WNBA season, there was this fan who was tweeting about, because, you know, there's a bunch of new fans coming to the W this year because of Caitlyn and because of Angel. So this girl who's been watching for forever decided to be like, hey, if you have any questions about the W, let me know. I can answer. Who do you need to know? Who's the team? Who's hot? Who's not? All that stuff. And someone was asking, who do they think the biggest frauds in the league are? And her first answer was the Liberty. And I was like, I don't know if that's really correct. I wouldn't say we're frauds just because we lost to the best player in the world in the championship last year. And would frauds have the best record in the league? I don't think so. This team is not frauds. They have a legit chance to actually win it all. And if they can exercise, look, if they beat the Aces in the second round and they exercise those demons, there is nothing that can stop them. I really, truly believe that. Because the Aces are their biggest rivals, their biggest force to stop them in the league. They have the best player in the world. If they can beat that team, who's just about nearly as well-rounded and as filled out as they are, then I really don't think anyone can stop them. And that is why I am going with my New York Liberty to win the whole dang thing for the 2024 WNBA season. Now, my finals MVP, I've been flip-flopping back and forth on this the entire time. I think, should I be crazy with this? Because really, it's finals MVP. I don't need to not go chalk if I don't want to. I can just say it'll be Brianna because she'll probably average the most points and the most rebounds. But low-key, Jonquel Jones, I think, is going to need to have a very big series. If we're playing the Sun, Jonquel is going to be massively important. And I think that she can probably have, like, a 17 to 18 point per game series while also averaging, like, 10 to 11 boards. And if she does that while also shooting, like, 38% from three or more in the series, then I honestly can see her winning it. So I'm going to go bold, and I'm going to go with Jonquel. But in all likelihood, if we were to win it, it would probably be Stewie. But I'm going with Jonquel Jones. So there you have it. Round 1, Liberty versus Sky. Liberty win in 2. Round 1, Aces versus Storm. Aces win 2-1. Round 1, Lynx versus Mercury. Lynx win 2-1. Sun versus Fever. Sun 2-0. Mercury versus Sun. Sun 2-0. Lib versus Aces. Lib 2-1. And then finally, in a best-of-5 series, we're going to go Lib in 5. And that is my WNBA playoff predictions. I'm so damn excited. I think this bracket is going to be even better than last year's. There's just so much talent in this league, and it makes me really happy to see that, like, they're finally getting the recognition and the love that they deserve from fans who had no idea they even existed up until this year. So I'm really excited to see how like the Twitter world responds to all this stuff and what WNBA Twitter is like this year during the playoffs. Because last year it was just a fun old time and it was not toxic at all. But now this year, now that they've developed into like basically NBA Twitter, I'm very excited to see the agendas that start getting pushed. And then some of it's going to be bad, some of it's going to be like, wow, this is very disingenuous. But I think a lot of it's just going to really add to the experience. And I'm very excited to watch the playoffs. Playoff basketball is one of the best things in the entire world. And I really, 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 really think my Liberty can finally pull it off this year. They have to. They have to. If they don't this year, then yeah, fine. You can start calling them frauds for real, and I'll probably start calling them frauds too. I'll still root for the team because I love them to death, and they'll be my team forever. And they're like, damn, my team's a bunch of frauds. Hopefully I don't have to say that. And I don't think I will. Go live. Alright, last thing to talk about today. In the first two episodes, I did this thing called Twitter Trash, where I would just go on the Twitter and find, like, the silliest debate of the day. It didn't have to be about, like, sports or anything. It could have been about literally anything under the sun. And that would be, like, the last thing we talked about. That's kind of dumb. It's all too negative, and it's a waste of my effort and energy. And also, in hindsight, it's a little pretentious of me to decide what I think is trash on Twitter just because I'm some guy. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to do just a little like pop culture segment, basically, where whatever about music, art, the TV, like any movies, anything like that I feel like talking about. Because I love all that stuff too. I'm a big movie nerd. I am a massive music fan, like most human beings. And I just love talking about that stuff. And now that I have a platform, I might as well use the last few minutes of my show to talk about that stuff. So today, I want to talk about my boy Chance the Rapper. If any of you guys have known me, like, before sophomore year of high school, like freshman year, I was like the biggest Chance the Rapper fan in the world, and I was obsessed with Coloring Book. I was obsessed with 10 Day. Acid Rap was one of the best mixtapes of all time. He was like my whole like music taste basically for like a year. I had the Chance 3 hat and everything. And then the big day drops, and every single music fan in the world was basically like, wow, this is the worst thing that we've ever put into our ears. You suck. And it was really disappointing because, yeah, it was a really, really bad album. There was maybe 2 songs on there that I would go back and listen to. And at this point, I don't even remember which 2 songs those were because I don't go back and listen to them anymore. Outside of Groceries. Groceries is a banger for no reason. And Hot Shower is just fucking hilarious, objectively. Just a funny song. Dude, I just called the plug and my phone was unplugged. Like, come on, man. Oh my god. So basically what I'm getting at is I was really disappointed, especially after the first, like, 4 singles that were, like, completely unrelated to the album that he dropped before that. Were all incredible. They were all amazing. The Man Who Has Everything is my favorite Chance the Rapper song ever. Like, period. There's no debate about it. The Man Who Has Everything is the best song that he's ever made, in my opinion. And then everything after that was terrible. And it's just sad to see because, like, he had so much potential. He won, like, 4 Grammys in one night. And then to see him fall off like that, it was just really disappointing for someone who was a big fan. And now he's finally decided that he's back in the music sphere. And he had been doing some features and stuff every once in a while for the past couple of years. But this year, or like I think it was the end of last year, he announced that he was going to drop a mixtape. And he was back in the studio. And lo and behold, he's decided that he's releasing a new album. And he's been releasing a bunch of singles for it. And Chance might be back, y'all. Like, Chance, like, he might, and I'm trying not to get emotional right now, y'all, because like every song now, I'm being a little wary because this is how it happened with the Big Day. Every single he released was incredible, and I really enjoyed them all. And the Big Day was terrible. But I think it's a little different because I think he knows he can't make the Big Day again, and most most of those songs had a Big Day vibe, but they were just more well put together, and the lyrics were relatively better than what was on the Big Day. The Man Who Was Everything was by far like the most well produced and deepest lyrically out of all of the four singles. Um, the other three were definitely more shallow and compare more to the Big Day. So that's why I'm a little bit more optimistic because these singles that he dropped so far sound way more like 10-day chance, honestly, and like a little bit post coloring book chance. So I'm very excited to see where this album goes. He just dropped a new one, 3033, which is really good. What else he's got? So he's got Stars Out, Family Matters, 3033, and then there's another one that I'm forgetting. He's dropped four. I can't remember. But Stars Out is easily my favorite. It's just a little bit of a ooh, you know, ooh. But no, it's just a fun song, and I really like the beat. He lyrically he just sounds a lot better. Like his rhyme schemes like are actually like there's actual like thought being put behind what he's saying and like how his like lyrics line up. Because like basically like sometimes when artists rhyme in songs, they're really only rhyming like the last like word or last two words, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I really appreciate a rhyme scheme or rapper who can, not even just a rapper, but any artist who can make a rhyme scheme that fits within like every word of the sentence pretty much. And that's like almost like MF Doom or Andre 3K style. And Chance has been doing that on all of his songs. It's been really beautiful to see because I've known he's been able to have that writing ability for the longest time, ever since 10 Day. But he just hasn't shown that in forever because he's too focused on making songs about, I love my wife. So he just hasn't been in that bag lately. And it's been making me really happy to see that he is. So I'm really excited to check out this album. I don't know when it's supposed to be out. I think he said October, but he also originally said that it was supposed to be like early August. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like, don't rush yourself with this one at all. Please, Chance, take your time. I'm just excited for it to drop, so I'm hoping for some more concrete news soon. That's kind of all I got. I haven't really seen any. Well, I saw Blink twice with Kai 2 weeks ago now, or last weekend. That was incredible. I implore everybody to go watch it. I'm not going to say too much because if I basically say anything about this movie, I will spoil it. I will just say that it's made me remember how much I love Channing Tatum and that he is so funny. Like, so unexpectedly funny, too. Like, I obviously, he's been in the Jump Streets and all that stuff, and he's well known in the comedy sphere. But sometimes, like, especially in this movie, it just kind of catches you off guard. And there are a couple of times where I, like, cackled laughing, like, out loud in the theater. It's just an overall good movie, super suspenseful. They keep you, like, guessing the entire way through. I really enjoyed it. I liked it so much, it made me finally make a Letterboxd account. So that's how big of a film nerd I'm becoming at this point. So yeah, go watch Blink twice. Channing Tatum's really good in it. And I think that's everything I have for the day. So I will see you guys on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. We have a fantastic slate of college football, of NFL, of WNBA, of baseball. Soak it all in. This is why I love the fall. This is probably the best time for sports because basically everything is going on. Either the other stuff is ending while the other stuff is starting, and it's just all it all comes together beautifully and makes a sports fan like me very, 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 very happy. So all of you guys should enjoy it just as much as I am. Go watch football until your eyes bleed. And yeah, again, I'll see you guys on Monday. Thanks for tuning in. And as you know, we always say active around the glass around here, y'all. Boom.